From the east to the west we go, and all the players will drop in between. Interestingly enough, yesterday there weren't a large amount of off-spawn fighting, right? Things typically started off rather slow, and even throughout the mid-game as well, right? Players just sort of posturing towards each other, a couple shots here, a couple shots there, but no massive, you know, game-ending fights between a lot of teams, and I think we'll probably see similar things today.
Yeah, I think Game 6 was the only time where some diamonds cracked under the pressure and ended up just going for crazy things off spawn, but this time it should just be quiet times till about zone number 9, and that's when shockwaves and cannons and everything gets thrown down. We do know that Cease and Blake are privy to a lot of fighting in the mid game. We know that some POIs have some people contested, like Mega City, where you're looking through walls, seeing what's good, but everyone has had those 6 games of practice to have their routes set up. Malibu Thomas looking to see what's up next.
Yeah, these guys will have so many eyes on them. Such a renowned team. Of course, for the people who don't know, there were 3 major qualifiers for this event. A DreamHack event in San Diego, a DreamHack event in Dallas, and a DreamHack event in Sweden. And these guys won 2 out of 3 of those qualifiers. They won DreamHack Dallas, they won DreamHack Sweden, and they made it look easy as well. So, of course, naturally coming into this competition, the #1 favorites. And it hasn't quite been that, but they're still in a touching distance of a top finish.
Block and Mixon as well, rocking in. We saw Mixon just getting that nice jersey and signing with BL. Has been performing a little bit up to par as well throughout that first day. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Tripper looking for just a bit more. At Slappy Shores, we didn't get a perspective of this fight at all on day 1, so it's nice to see that everyone's kind of, you know, tagging back and forth across the map.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? It's not really been much of a fight. It's sort of just like what you see here, couple tags here, couple tags there. Will be interesting to see if that changes today. Who knows? It might change, but I think typically with 2 teams either side of Slappy, to see them fight without it being something that forces the issue is quite rare. City again using these flare guns just to get an idea of where these guys are at, make sure they're keeping their distance, they don't want to get snuck up on, because we see a lot of those plays in these lobbies, players going for sneaky beaky like plays, and the flare gun will just provide that bit of information and a bit of a warning almost to keep your distance. We are ready and waiting.
We know that you know that I know that you know, so
exactly.
Try nothing. The inception of Slappy, I feel like this is one of those POIs that had the most flanks in the history of the FNCS. Everyone landing just slightly around it. You feel like you want to fight, you're on to the next one. Speaking of which, Epic Will, I think his duo got the first elimination over all of the tournament when it came to game number 1 of day number 1. Acorn finding a Middle Eastern duo on the other side of things. But this time in Mega City, everyone is just calmed down. They're looking to do their own thing. Anas way up top on a hill north of it, or west of it, looking for some information. Doesn't find much. He'll be flying away. Over in the jungle, Pablo Wingu out of the snow. They're actually moving fast to greener pastures because they were just going off spawn 24/7, like trying for fights, not having the most success, getting eliminated. This time they're on the move.
Yeah, it wasn't the best of days for them, unfortunately. Pablo Wingo and Bevy's top players, you want to see them doing well, but they were dead last in the standings after day 1, and so plenty of work to do here today. Of course, the competition is not over. The majority of the games are still left to be played.
They should be good for now. It's getting a nice little vantage point. A lot of the times, verticality was their weakness, moving around some of the ravines inside the northern side of the map. Just completely picked apart by other players hunting on the outskirts of the island. Moon Tax taking their time, looting around the compound, having a good one in the jungle. You can see the focus from the duo on the bottom left. Meanwhile, Savage making noise, taking a nice joyride around Mega City. Might get focused on, but there's fights in the streets, fights up top on the skyscrapers as well. No safe spots at all inside Mega City. Vidil almost losing his overshield. Both players now possibly losing a win condition this game as their car's at low HP.
Yeah, that's what you get out of Mega City. Always going to be some sort of play in some building somewhere. Catch yourself driving through town, you will be shot at.
Yeah, one thing you notice that people are just taking a lot of time to stay in their spots, loot up, then move afterwards. One thing that we saw from Kemi and Japko, I mean, their actual plan overall as to why they were so safe and secure consistently game after game, staying way back in Storm, They have Remedy in a vehicle, getting chunk splash 24/7. They have to see no one, interact with no one until the end of the game.
Yeah, it literally was a matter of them playing trios and not duos. How much they made use of that Remedy NPC. We'll see if anybody else adds that to their strategy today. I think there'll be a couple of players who want to. Malabuka and Thomas then will focus on taking fights in the middle areas of the map, and they'll pick up dubs along the way, except hiding in a bush.
Not going to be the easiest when you have flare guns all around. Malabuka, the target of a few shots. Tax does not miss when the opportunity calls for it. The 300-point lead for Cammy as well. They were talking about it on the desk. It's one game of a difference. As long as they stay consistent towards the top, and Cammy had that aura when he was walking in today. I mean, they should be good.
I tell you what, yeah. Cammy is typically the kind of guy where it's like, you know, when Cammy and Seti were, you know, at the peak of their powers and whatnot, and you have to interview one, you always want to go to Seti. Naturally, he's more of a talker, a bit more confident. Cammy a lot more quiet, a lot more reserved. But I don't know, there's something different about Cammy now, man. Like, he's got that aura about him. I don't know what it is. You saw it when he was walking in. There was a bit more of a fire in his walk. Look, I'm liking this new Cammy. I'll tell you what, I'm liking it.
I want to know if there's ever been a tournament that's been a very high caliber where Cammy's in the lead day one. I feel like they're always on like catch up in day two. Could be wrong, just could be weird bias for me. But maybe this is like one of the first times.
Back in trios.
Yeah, they were dominating. Yeah.
He's been there. He knows what it's like to be in first place after day one. He's been there before. So, should be a matter of just holding on. And he'll know how to do that. The biggest difference, though, that he wouldn't have experienced before is having to hold on for 2 days. Right? Typically, it's like, okay, you're in first place day one. Just hold on one more day, another good day. But it's like, he has to have 2 more good days if he wants to keep his first place. And that, my friend, is not easy at all.
Now, my strat, if it's like day 2 and I'm still like 0 points, watching those first place VODs, downloading everything and just like copycat for days. Your car, you're out, now it's my car.
That's going to make you some enemies, eh?
100%. But that's the trick for them too, right? There's some people who might even have that as a backup plan. They'll move. They'll be able to go. They aren't just like drones completely either. Cammy Japko. These guys want to fight off spawn. That's going to be a challenge for a lot of people if they go for that, right? Even if you're trying to emulate what they do, you have to have a nice feel for it. A lot of it is just like audible calls on where they're driving. Yesterday, they had one type of strategy where they're just kind of going around the circle, one duel in the way, detour to almost a different video game in Island, and then all the way back. You can't copy that. You can't really just learn that overnight. You have to basically just be embedded within the game.
Yeah, these guys are very intelligent players. Decision makers on point. Very much good at adapting and making plans on the fly. As the ending ref squad, they've been good at that as well. That's why they're sitting in 3rd place. And this vehicle definitely helps in providing some free-flowing movement for them.
They've both been called to action on day 1. Usually, I think like Z Andy always in the clutch a lot of the times, getting his team past the finish line. But Resguard was in his fair share of situations as well, where I think everything just got cannoned and had to get a few more shots in, a few more eliminations to up those points, survive. You guys are actually on vacation at a ranch. It's a big chilling after day 1.
Yeah, Cammy very familiar with this ranch, right? Landing here most of this chaps up.
All right, the ERR. Sub cannot hide from it. Big shots. His first looking at second, ways away on the map.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not Vino and Queasy walk into their sight lines. It's definitely possible. Vino right now just using this bush to scout around, waiting for the cash. But Cammy's very aware that they're there. You see some movement. So they'll wait. They'll be patient.
Comms on both sides. These guys definitely know too. Moving completely the other way. On the right side too, S-Dark and Gentle, I think one of the biggest surprises in the competition. You're looking at all those names, even Pars and Baka. You wouldn't expect them after day 1 to be so high on the boards.
Yeah, I think they've surprised people, but they did that as well over at the last big sort of international land that we saw them at, the Invitational last year. And so clearly these guys are two players that you have to watch out for. Gonna start building up a rep for being Lanimals, you know, the kind of guys that, you know, show up when it matters in person. Unfortunately, we've been waiting for Tayson to show up in person, and right now, it's another bad start to a game. He's currently knocked in the storm, and Quanti and Trippin are well on their way to cleaning this one up and finishing it off. The cannon will come through from Seti, and it's a nice chunk of damage dealt, but not enough to scare them away. They'll pick up Tayson, and Seti will have to scurry off. But again, these are the two teams that are slappy, and it's Quanti and Trippin coming out on top.
A fight that's just so prolonged. I mean, this happened so early, and there's so many tools now with the ice cream to be able to just stay up inside Storm. So Tayson might not be completely out for the entire game. I mean, we got duos going all the way back to the bottom left peninsula on the map, so you can really tank Storm here in 0 builds.
That's one of the things I was going to mention. The crowd a lot louder today than yesterday. The Falcon fans have started to show up. We saw some different fans making their cheers, right? We saw some of the Twisted guys.
Yeah.
Right? They were showing up, making noise, but I think we all expected the Falcon boys to be the ones to make the most noise here. And they've definitely showed up with their flags and all. Oh, that's incorrect grenade thrown from Mpen.
Not quite 60 meters away. Noah down to 9 HP. One more bunker left. That's not going to be enough med mist to really do too much at all.
There's another team sneaking in now.
Here
Trashy
comes Trashy.
The cannon loaded.
Through the door. Ooh.
He snuck it in. Blaster punished as well because of it. And that's quite unfortunate there from that team, right? Because they just sort of were pushing in to close out the fight. Then Trashy and Pump come through and third party. So Mpen will actually be able to use it to just get away, create some separation, get some time. Noah's stuck in the storm. He's going to have to think about how to get back Blaster's card.
Trippin actually going completely down too. As NM7 comes out on top. Cannon from so far away. I'm not sure, almost. I think NM7 and CalGamer are just slightly out of the reach of that flare gun. Vert and Quinn are still trying for it though. That angle is not going to be enough to be able to land hits from this side, but they're just trying to control the right in general. Yeah, they're just a bit too far away. Have one vehicle, use a lot of their meds. This is just an impossible challenge, but while the ammunition is on cooldown from that Cybertron cannon, Cal and NM7 might have a way to get around.
Xweez and Andelex not playing together on opposite sides.
True. That's so odd.
But very much in the same vicinity of each other. Bad Sniper. He hears the vehicle, and so they'll know, but they don't actually want to engage with each other at all.
NM7 is just popping off right now still. I mean, this is the replay of their previous fight. I just looked into the feed real quick. They took out Cease. They're still moving. I'm not even sure if they have a cannon, so we'll have to tune in with them in just a sec. Nikov and Alex. Thought it was going to be peaceful, but this is just petty. Shooting the car as well.
Yeah, it's not petty, man. That's big competition for you.
It's true. Actually, that's true.
Do.
Acting like there's not millions on the line.
Yeah.
My sorry.
They got to make sure that even if they can't have one, nobody else can.
Mm-hmm.
And Bad Snap and Xweez slowly creeping in closer and closer to Andelex and Nikov. We'll see if the Frenchies can collide.
Giga Kinzo just have to go and find some heals along the way. Kinzo with a med kit. We've seen errors sometimes where some people are like 9 HP, they don't click it fast enough for 10 HP, and then we're wasting time rezzing, but not the case here for Kinzo. These guys also just held up inside Rumble Ruins. I mean, there's so many ways for people to be able to move around on this side. Would you live inside Rumble Ruins if given the chance?
No.
Really?
It's a ruin. Why would anybody choose to live in a ruin?
The cultural significance, you know, there's like a lot of hieroglyphics and cool doors. It's like a Mesopotamian, like.
I'll take my apartment in Mega City. I'm good.
I'll take a time machine to Paradise Palms.
Ooh, you're cooking now.
Yeah.
You are cooking.
Give me that rift.
Well, look, I'm sure Anderlecht and Nikov would hope they could take a time machine back to where they could just have a nice position, because right now they're moving through the ruins and there's so many different players and better spots around them that could be a real problem for them. The flare gun comes in there from Reason and Amar, who will now be aware of exactly where they are, and they'll trade one back. So, again, knowledge on all sides of just who's around them.
That was a mishmash on the south side. And that Rift Island is not going to speed anything up at all.
It's almost as many players in the Storm as there is in the Zone.
This is the difference between people that arrive on time and people that are late. I can relate to the people in the Storm.
I guess we'd be in the Storm.
We'd definitely be in the Storm.
Let's take a look at some of the action happening in the Storm. Suns and Alex.
Healing. Vert and Quinn. Fighting. Both teams. I like the synchronization. Quinn and Vert really just bullying right now, but gotta get away. If Anderlecht and Nikov did have a time machine, what is like Nikov's 100% POI that he owned at a certain time?
You're asking me to go back too many chapters here, mate. That's a long time ago.
I think Opt would not want to have a time machine at all. He want to stay here. Maybe not in this spot because it's just a little bit too much in general. Too much action. Sizz and Degen, they push off.
Well, I like this, right? They're cutting through up the left side of that hill. There's a couple teams down to the bottom right, and they'll sort of just get past it actually scot-free. Even though there's a lot of people in this area, they kind of move in without having to use much there.
And this is the side that was not congested just a moment ago. 36 teams still left in the equation.
Oof.
Sun's not making it out of the Storm. Anderlecht's also down. Alex gone. So a lot of the teams on that south side having trouble. Now the north side's just, or the side from the east on the right is just getting a bit too much for certain players. This is the last leg of the rotation from Degen that we've been tuning in with. We will not see the conclusion as Fluger and Opt are in the business. They're in. It's good, but there's so many teams still. And now they have to go south again. And this is where cannons start to come out. Degen taking so much damage, and we know how important eliminations are in this situation. It's NM7 again that's targeting team after team.
Yeah, and they had to use a bunch of bunkers just to get to that spot, and presumably to get out of it, they'll have to use the remaining ones they have left. Look at Vert in the middle of that, by the way, in the middle of that shot. With like no HP. Oh, man. I would not want to be him right now. Degen, Sizz like he's still trying to battle their way out of this one though, and doing a decent job. Vanyak will pick up Dukes, and so they're going to continue to put some suppressor fire in the direction of Clicks and hope that somebody else picks him up. That's going to create the pathway for them to get out, and even more so, some shots onto Source aren't too bad. Thomas and Malabuka find themselves stuck underneath their bunkers right now. And you have to be careful because Sam's going to start running through, running over. I'm sure Thomas will hear that above him.
Sizz and Degen not seeing a bunker thrown down at all just yet. No, that Clicks is in trouble, but he just kind of walks away. They need something though. Thomas HD found out, had no chance to really go up by any means.
And it's our best Middle Eastern duo. Gentle, dark, rolling through some of the best players in this competition. And to be quite honest, they have been some of the best players in this competition so far. Day one went fantastically for them. I think of all the players on Falcon, you probably wouldn't have predicted that Gentle be the one doing the best out of all of them. Yet he's here, showing up when it matters. Clicks, he's lost Duke. And so now a solo performance going to be needed. And I spoke to him yesterday, he said, look, Zero Build ain't my mode. He doesn't enjoy it as much. He's not as good at it. But right now, he's going to have to activate his peak form all alone in such a stacked lobby.
He's got 12 games to learn. Hero and Fahad have had actually 6 more than everyone else too, so they should be locked in. Zandy ref's guard can jump on top. It'll be Bloomy, who we know does not hesitate when he has a game plan. Shockwave back, and you saw it in his hands. Other bunker down, so Zandy has some options. That sends ref's guard flying away. He actually builds all the way up. Ooh. Bloomy could land one more. He does have it in his hands again, but what's the option here? They have to actually go towards Zandy. Zandy's blocking off where the next zone is, so Bloomy's looking for something. Meanwhile, the experience turning into points for Hero and Fahad. They find reciprocal on the left. They're looking towards the right. A pickup for 2 overall, and they're still finding more, as the fact that Zandy has now just absolutely lit a blaze. Gets a lot of third parties involved. Hero's shots. Clicks finds Tax again. That's 2 eliminations as him just as a solo player. Anas and then Tax.
He's picked up. He's looking to pick up more.
Here comes Fahad with a flare. And now they have their sights set on Clicks, so who can move past this? Hero really wants it. It's a 1v1. Wants to take Clicks down. Vino and Queasy at the bottom, not going to be targeted like Thomas HD. And Hero fights Clicks air to air, and he wins.
He saw his prey, and he hunted him down. Hero really being aggressive right now. He's not even considering where Fahad is. He's just trying to take fights, and fights will come to him. It's Lardo, it's Bloomy. They're the ones in their faces, and they're the ones that come out on top.
Bloomy with 9 HP, so many heals, but does he have the time? Resurrection here will be huge. Putting a bunker down might spell that there's trouble though, so he has to be careful! Cannon shot blanks, that's the last thing he does, and will it affect the outcome of this game because Queasy just lost so much HP.
Queasy, Vino, so impressive in yesterday's tournament, and still performing at such a high level.
In this spot too, you might be wondering, why are they on this side of this mountain? There's nowhere left to go. It's actually pulling past it. It just depends on how this zone moves. They're trying to see if they can edge forward from the left side. Vino going right just in case it's not the case. Bloomy has gotten back alive, has full HP, and has the power spot. A king from his throne on top of this hill, and finds a big shot. Meanwhile though, a few usurpers moving through the sight lines at the bottom of the map. Aegis in the backside, no siphon there for you, my friend, and he can't land the mist. He will go down. Bloomy up top is still just raining absolute fire, but from the backside, Queasy, Vino make themselves known, and ERR from the backside too, as Lardo's trying to do anything to make sure this is possible. Steals the fan to run away, and now these guys are forced to shockwave out. Queasy from the bottom side is then pushed out of his bush. It's chaos on all sides.
Bloomy, Lardo in the prime position, and Queasy and Vino had something to say about it, but they return fire, they return, they answer, and now it's Wox, who had his teammate taken away from him by Bloomy and Lardo, now trying to fight to stay alive, but he runs out of steam, and still somehow Gentle is able to win against Bloomy and Lardo. It's the duo from the Middle East that has been rocking the worlds of everybody in this lobby, and they win game number 7.
A pacifist for every single elimination except the last one. Gentle and Dark stay silent until they win.